Hey, what's happening, gamers? I'm back from the birthplace of the Dark Knight, New York City, and this is Arkham Wednesday. Today we'll be taking a look at a cult, but not the Cult of Owls. Sorry those of you that follow the New 52, but I'm setting that video aside for Arkham Knight. No, actually we're heading back in time with Doc and Marty to 1976, when the world was threatened by Cobra! No, not this Cobra, but Cobra with a K. Just ignore the fact that he looks like Serpentor. I mean, seriously, look at the dude. He's wearing yellow and green. Lawsuit, this I command! Anyway, the character is pretty well known. Well, for those of you either born in the 70s or familiar with the Bronze Age, I suppose, you know, he's pretty well known. Anyway, Cobra was responsible for turning a peaceful cult into a terrorist organization and even getting on the bad side of Ra's al Ghul, who feared this cult growing even more in power. And Batman actually kept an eye on this group throughout the 70s. Now, Cobra had special laser weaponry, I'm not touching that, performed metahuman experiments, and stole from various Batman villains like Zebra Man and Clayface, among many others. He also had his cult worship, you know, snakes and vipers and train to become warriors. There's also a lot of them. Now, originally Cobra was going to be its own comic franchise by Jack Kirby, and the series was going to be called King Cobra. Though things didn't pan out and DC passed the idea to another writer who was able to get the series to last about, I don't know, 7 issues or so before being canceled outright. Eventually, the character would go on to be in the DC universe and just another, you know, costume villain. He would go on to face pretty much every do-gooder in the DC universe, but of course became an important aspect of the 1970s Bat books and The Outsiders, which if you don't know who they are a branch of Batman with Black Lightning and Metamorpho and some other people, and they had a lot of interesting stories in the 70s and 80s. Anyway, getting back to Cobra! The story involves the birth of 2 twin boys that would fulfill a great prophecy, Jeffrey and Jason Burr. Though one child was stolen at birth to use in Kali Yuga, which roughly translates as the Age of Chaos. Or is that the Age of Brick Oven Pizzas? You know, my Snakies is kind of rusty, but we'll go with the other one, because Chaos sounds better. Anyway, under the religion's teachings, Jeffrey became a strong warrior and a power-driven Vader wannabe. He turned the cult from their simple sacrifices to world domination and destroying anything that didn't convert to Cobra's way of life. Well, even if you did join up, your chance of survival would still be about 30%. Lord Cobra likes to kill people anyway, because everyone is expendable to the guy like red shirts from Star Trek. I mean, seriously, the punishments were pretty severe. Being pumped full of viper venom in jail for just jaywalking or other minor crimes, or just being killed in unique ways that gave the Naja his jollies for the week. And Naja is what they called the dude in the Cobra language. Plus, personal public executions for annoying Lord Cobra were also in place. It wasn't really a fun group to join, yet their numbers of attendance was pretty high. Must be one heck of an ad campaign. Still, even Scum has family, and unknown to the cult people, their leader had a twin brother named Jason, who is actually connected to him through mind, psychic, power bond head stuff. You know, like the Tomax twins from G.I. Joe, who obviously didn't borrow any ideas from DC Comics' Cobra to create the organization, Psychic Pain Bonds, and Serpentor. No, it's totally by chance that all the same stuff appears in Marvel Comics less than 10 years later, along with all the goofy giant Destroyinator things that G.I. Joe had to face, like the electromagnet thing to mess with the Earth's technology and throw the world into chaos. Most of G.I. Joe's playbook came from Cobra with a K. Seriously, how did no one catch this? It must have been simpler times back then. Well, even Bill Finger did steal most of his early Batman stories, word from word, from the Shadow novels in the 1940s. Now, where was I? Oh yeah, so Jason and Jeffrey felt each other's pain, and if you killed one, well, the other one, you know, died, kicked the bucket, no more. And many years later, Jason learned of his brother's growing religion and criminal empire. So, you know, he kind of joined up with the good guys to go against his brother, which in the long run, probably wasn't the smartest idea for the guy. Somehow, the Cobra cultists then created a device from different captured or slayed heroes to shut off the magic bond between the Siamese twins so they could kill Jason without killing their supreme Cobra overlord guy. Or in simple terms, they basically hypnotized Jason's girlfriend to stab him a lot, like from school days, using magic or something. Still, it's unknown if Jason died or not, but later books depict Jeffrey feeling guilty or lonely about missing his brother. So, if you put 2 and 2 together, his brother probably died. Now, this is something that Jeffrey hadn't felt, like this loneliness, since the death of his parents, which actually drives him more insane. Some cultists begin to worry that Jeffrey is talking to himself too much and plot his demise. That and they are sick of Tortured Tuesdays. Though somehow Jeffrey defeats the coup and his reign of terror and talking to himself continues uninterrupted. So Cobra wins the day and the cultists, they paid. I was trying to rhyme there, but it didn't really work. So anyway, Jeffrey fashions this organization to be feared by other secret underground groups like Skull, which I will be talking about in this episode because that'd be another lengthy video with all the different organizations and cults and things like that. Anyway, he also makes trouble with the League of Shadows, Assassins, Raz's gang, and even getting the attention of Spiral, the group where Dick Grayson is currently the James Bond guy now. Now, Jeffrey even makes his own Lazarus Pit after stealing one from the Demon's Head and learns how to bring people back to life and controlling their minds. So, Jeffrey has created the perfect zombies, except some of them weren't dead. So, what would live zombies be called then? I mean, most of his creepy, glowing-eyed, commanded-minded minions are alive, well, unless they step on Lord Cobra's grass, and then, well, they'd be part of the zombie brigade because, how dare you step on my grass, I'm gonna kill you, or something. And the guy has a lot of issues, what do I know? Serious therapy, but the company, if you really think about it, it had a really high turnover rate. The dress code, which I forgot to talk about, is the opposite of Cobra Commander's attire and the rest of Cobra with a C from, G.I. Joe. Most of Lord Cobra's crew, they roll wearing green and yellow spandex. His army has messed with the likes of the Amazons, the people of Atlantis, and each time they almost defeated the heroes' armies with just their sheer numbers alone. There's a lot of Cobra warriors. What's more amazing, though, is Lord Cobra was able to turn his once isolated group into a world threat in just 2 years. So that got the Justice League paying attention to them. Now, how this relates to Batman? Well, in the Batman books, Batman doesn't really like Jeffrey or Cobra at all. I mean, besides the human sacrifices and the drug trade and like all the other stuff they do. Jeffrey was actually able to best Batman in hand-to-hand combat. Though in Batman's defense, the Snake Leader cheated by using magic, so it was a cheap shot that he was able to, beat Batman. Now, Cobra's love life was pretty much the pits in the book from what I remember, and his various appearances in The Flash and Wonder Woman and Superman. He had a gal pal named Eve, and they had this thing, but she ended up betraying him and splitting up Cobra into various factions. So the two exes would go to war a lot, causing problems for whatever country was caught in the crosshairs of the lovers' spat. Atom Smasher, who's a character you might remember from Justice League Unlimited, was kind of a casualty since his mother was killed in one of these incidents. And after they finally captured Lord Cobra and put him on trial, his followers would use terrorist tactics like suicide bombings and taking human shields and other things to guilt the government into letting him go. Since I guess back then, governments used to, work with terrorists or give in to terrorist demands or something like that. They negotiated or something. Which actually ticked off Black Adam, Atom Smasher, and I believe it was the Justice Society of America. I don't really remember. And basically the government let Jeffrey Burr go to the Himalayas where he was tracked down by Atom Smasher and they ripped out his heart. Well, actually Black Adam did, if I remember correctly. So they did like the Mayan thing where, or like, fatality, rip out heart and basically what happened then is it proved that even without the snake's head, the organization still kind of like existed. It just went into even more factions, which I don't really remember, but there's so many different groups led by ninjas, Eve, and creepy science guys. Even King Snake, which some of you remember was kind of like a Tim Drake villain, and one of Tim's school chums in his Robin book, I believe, became Serpentor for a stint, though eventually Jason was brought back to life by the Lazarus Pit, and like his dead brother, is totally nutsoid. He restructured Cobra Law in his own image, pretty much, and he did this by killing off most of the principal staff, and even just half the organization in general. He also kept Torture Tuesdays, but signed a law for Casual Fridays. So he wasn't that bad compared to Jeffrey, but he was still kind of crazy. He also had a lot of beef with the Checkmate organization, which is basically like MI6 or Interpol and things like that. And he goes by the name Cobra Prime, which they should have just called him Serpentor because he really looks like Serpentor. I mean, look at this! Don't you see the connection there? Oh, anyway. And that's pretty much the history of Cobra! If I do that, I'm going to lose my voice, but whatever. But why has the character never appeared in the Arkham games or really other media? While I really can't speak for the Arkham series, folks, Cobra has been animated a few times outside of G.I. Joe. Like in Batman Beyond, Static Shock, Young Justice, and a mini episode in Batman Brave and the Bold, which I think it's called Requiem of the Scarlet Speedster. I can't really remember, but I do remember the mini episode. It had Batman and the Outsiders trying to stop the cult of Cobra from sacrificing a young woman. How many times have I said Cobra in this video? Is anybody keeping track? The Bright Knight and his team are able to put the squeeze on the snakish cult, though the young heroes forgot to destroy the bridges leading to the castle after saving the girl. And the mini clip ends with thousands of Cobra cultists storming the compound, and Batman just has like a facepalm moment, and then takes out his hammers of justice and prepares to fight all the Cobra people coming in. But yeah, the Outsiders, they dropped the ball. Now, Young Justice, from what I remember, it features the Jeffrey incarnation of the Cobra leader, and he's causing a lot of problems for Bane in the episode, I think it was Drop Zone, where they're trying to get control of the Venom drug, and then Sportsmaster and some other people come in and they have to fight. And Robin actually fought the Cobra leader for a second, and then they all escaped. But I don't remember seeing Cobra in any other episode ever again, as far as I can remember anyway. Maybe if the series wasn't canceled, we'd see more of Cobra, but your guess is as good as mine. As for Batman Beyond, Cobra kind of appears in Terry's world, though it's been 40-some years since they've picked their last new Snake Overlord. So someone from Terry's school is chosen to rule, and I believe he was named Xander, I think. I don't really remember since Batman Beyond was so long ago. According to Batman, the cult has been around for a very, very long time, since like the dawn of time or something. Though they were once pretty peaceful, in the sense, I mean, well, they still did sacrifices, but they kind of kept to themselves in a little cave, hanging out with snakes. It wasn't until a dictator took control over them and basically molded them into doing unspeakable human cruelties and, you know, being evil and stuff. So their leader, Xander, was raised from birth to be the Lord Cobra in Terry McGinnis's world, except he was conditioned and, like, they did stuff to his mind. Because Cobra likes to use mind control, at least that's something that I got from reading all these old weird books. Then their eyes were always glowing red, which meant evil. Though, since the organization likes to do experiments and stuff, they actually did some other stuff to Xander and some of his underlings, like fusing their body with dinosaur DNA. But something goes horribly wrong, as most, you know, genetic modification things go. Sometimes you get superpowers, sometimes you turn into a mutated freak. But anyway, Cobra then needs to raise Gotham and Earth's temperature so their new leader and most of them can survive the change in temperature, because reptiles need things to be very hot to, you know, survive or whatever. Or dinosaurs, which is something Terry doesn't let happen. He's like, no, I'm not letting you turn Gotham into, like, this volcanic place. I'm gonna stop you. So he stops Cobra from using, like, this bomb they stole from Nova to create mini volcanoes and a tropical environment so they could, you know, do their dinosaur half people stuff. I don't recall what happened to Xander, though. Usually characters didn't really die. They just kind of disappeared, like what happened to Mr. Freeze when he was brought back to life in Batman Beyond. He was fighting that glowy guy, and he just kind of like vanished after that. You don't know if he died or lived or just like went into solitude. They never really did much with Freeze again, which is sad because I wanted to see more of Victor Freeze in that time period. But they did in the pilot episode have a character die. The guy who killed Terry's father was killed by Batman, essentially. He pulled the Batman Begins where, you know, I'm not going to kill you, but I don't have to save you. You know, that kind of thing. But anyway, Terry won the day, and Gotham continued on its path, unshaken by the Cobra cult. Although the Cobra cult would appear a couple times, I think it didn't really have that grand, you know, story after that. Now, more recently, Jason has appeared as a sub-character in the canceled Beware the Batman show, which I'm sure some of you have seen. He's kind of this nerdy guy, and it's currently airing on Toonami Saturday nights. I think they're up to 13 or 14 episodes right now. But here the character's undergone a different origin. It's really unknown if he has a twin brother, though, but he does start out as a good guy, more or less, and kind of has a thing for Katana's alter ego. This Jason is a brainiac and created an alternative energy source to help Gotham and, you know, the world go into the future and stuff like that. You know, we're the world of the future. Though Lady Shiva and Silver Monkey catch wind of it and try to steal the device, which Batman and Katana are like, no, we don't want you to have this device because that'd be bad. And they protect Jason and stuff. And Lady Shiva and Silver Monkey are like, oh man, we can't get control of Jason, so we're gonna use mind control from this other guy called Cypher, who basically puts these plugs in the back of Jason's head, and now Jason's evil, kind of. And under the control of the bad guys, Jason actually acts like his comic book counterpart, and even gets his own Ninja Goon squad. So already they're seeing the potential for this guy to become like a crazy dictator, you know? So it kind of worked out for Jason's evil side. In episode 13 of Beware the Batman The Fall, which was just a Saturday, I believe. I remember watching it when I was at my grandparents' house when I was in New York City. Jason's mind is completely gone bye-bye, and he's trying to destroy Gotham by turning out the lights and setting off a nuke-like reaction in the city. He also argues with his ninjas, and is kind of a jerk. His eyes glow green a lot, too. Or was it red? Or orange? Or yellow? He looked very, like, serpent. Is what I want to say, like his eyes. They didn't look human. Once he thinks that his thugs have actually killed Batman with bazookas on the Batmobile, Jason meets up with Lady Shiva, they have a cup of joe, and then he tweaks the Cortex thing to be a weapon of mass destruction. Before he can install it and doom the world and Gotham City, Katana rips off her mask and exposes her secret identity, something she learned from watching the various Batman movies, you know. Hey, I'm Bruce Wayne, and I really like you. Be my girlfriend, or not. Because I'm Batman. She then kisses Jason, and he goes back to normal because true love is the greatest power in the universe. And true love's first kiss, well, you know, if you watch like Snow White and Sleeping Beauty and all that, it doesn't matter. Jason goes back to normal. Then Batman arrives on the scene, not dead, and he gives Jason a lecture because that's what Beware the Batman does. He always gives people lectures. And then when people say, why are you giving me a lecture? He's like, because I'm Batman. Now, non-evil Jason tries to save Gotham, only to have his soul sucked out of his body by the Soul Taker sword from Lady Shiva, which Katana's like, oh snap, you did not just do that to my boyfriend. But then she gets beat up and taken hostage, and Alfred shows up, and they have a fight, and Batman gets his butt kicked by Ra's al Ghul. Now, what is the fate of Jason? Currently in this series, he's just like a corpse. I mean, he's dead. Well, I mean, he's not really dead. He's kind of dead, though. He's mostly dead. You know, he's not all dead. So, will we ever get to hear him say, "This I command," or get a snake army to do his biddings and create Torture Tuesdays? We have no idea. But maybe that's the direction DC was going with the whole Beware the Batman series before it got canceled. One of the things that I really liked about Beware the Batman is they were diving into Grant Morrison's Batman villains. They were taking villains from the 70s. They were doing a new take on the League of Assassins and Ra's al Ghul and all this other stuff. But it was a bad idea to have the show on Saturday mornings. It's an adult-oriented show. It's like really violent, and the storytelling is very complex that little kids won't get it. Also, it's very depressing, you know. But I kind of applaud DC for doing something different with Batman, and there was a lot of possibility for this, but as it stands, I don't think we're ever going to see Jason become Serpentor at all. There's only 13 episodes left of the series, and I really don't know what's going to happen. Maybe Jason will come back, maybe he won't, but you would really need a second season to kind of dive into Jason becoming evil. Rushing it is not a good idea. Hopefully we'll see Jason or Jeffrey appearing in an Arkham game or Arkham spin-off game down the road, or maybe even a Batman Beyond game, because Cobra is pretty hip in an evil kind of way. Though I'm really not a fan of Torture Tuesdays. Actually, my doctor gave me a note excusing me from all Viper injections, citing plainly that the stuff is not okay to be in my body at any time. Also, it sounds really painful. Anyway, thus ends another Arkham Wednesday. Now I want to hear from all of you. What do you think of Cobra, and would the villain or organization work in the Arkham universe? Let me know in the comments below. Join me next week as we'll be looking at something else. Don't ask me right now because I have no idea. This is all random, spur-of-the-moment goodness until Arkham Knight. Saving all the goodies for Arkham Knight. Have an awesome rest of your week, folks, and let's see if this video can hit 1,000 likes to show support for Cobra! I know, that's getting old. Well, until then, God bless and happy gaming. Be seeing you real soon, gamers.
Impressive, Batman. This ending would move me to tears if I still had tears to shed. Remember to like and share this video with your peers, or I'll shatter your frozen body like glass.